All right, we are now live. What is up, everybody? It is Jason, your strength and conditioning coach, and I'm here to share a very special video on nutrition to help grapplers with their meal timing as well as manage their weight. If during the video you have any questions, feel free to comment down below. Even if it's after the live, I will answer any questions. Okay, so we're going to go into a little bit of a broad explanation, all right? Because there's a lot of different things to unpack. What I hope to do from this video is help you understand the priorities. What is the most important thing that you should start focusing on, and what is the chain of actions that you start to change up your approach and you focus on different things? We want to make a very general concept of nutrition before we go into minute details. Like I said, if you want to ask any questions, feel free to just comment down below and we'll get started and we'll get into those questions. Let's start ahead and talk about meal timing and frequency. But before we get into that stuff and like intermittent fasting and timing, let's look at our priorities. What is step one? I'm going to share my screen here and share with you guys the Rosati Strength Systems nutrient breakdown. When we're looking at our nutrition for our goals, which for most of us is going to be managing our weight, some of us may want to lose weight. Some of us may want to gain weight. Some of us may want to cut weight for competition, right? That's usually the priority first, is we got to manage that weight, manage the body composition, okay? Then you focus in on your health, your energy, and then you focus in on the timing of what you eat so that way you can maximize your performance when you're on the mats or you're in the gym working out. The reason why you start off with body weight first is your body composition is going to be one of the most important factors to your health. If you have body fat percentage going over 18%, you are putting yourself at risk for cardiovascular disease as well as a lower testosterone production for men. For women, the percentage would be more over 25, as women have naturally more body fat percentage than guys. If you start climbing up into the high 20s as a woman, then you can start to see some of those cardiovascular risks. You can start to see lower energy levels. It actually will start to affect your health, your energy. As long as your body fat percentage is under 18, though, that is when it's health first. So that's where we talk of. That's why weight and body composition is the first thing that you want to focus on, right? Because if you do that and you're at a good weight, then you're going to be at your most healthy. So let's get that picture back up here. So calories is going to be the first thing that you focus on. When you're looking at nutrition, calories is going to be the main thing, okay? No matter when you eat, no matter what you eat, no matter whatever, when it comes to weight, the calories is the main thing. Your body burns a certain amount of calories per day. Calories is essentially heat that our body uses as energy. When you eat an excessive amount of calories, you will gain weight. If you eat more calories than your body burns, you will gain weight. If you eat less calories than your body burns, you will lose weight. If you eat at a maintenance, you will maintain your weight. The reason why this is also important is because if you're focused so hard on, okay, what nutrients am I eating? Am I making sure I'm getting all the right foods in? I'm making sure I'm eating at the right time. But if you're not eating enough food, then you put yourself at risk for under recovery. Or if your goal is to lose weight and you wind up either eating too little or too much, you'll wind up not seeing your goal of weight loss, right? So the calories is the main thing, and being around that maintenance level and knowing how much food to put in is going to be the number one priority. That's what you have to get down first. If you're not looking at nutrition, you're not paying attention to your nutrition, this is the first thing that you become conscious of. Now, you want to set up a schedule for yourself based off of your own needs. Now, this is something that I do with clients. It would be very difficult for me to teach that in a training like this. What I can tell you is that the meal timing is going to be around your schedule. Now, we're going to get into that. Let's get into now macronutrients. Macronutrients are your carbs, fats, and protein. They are the breakdown of calories. So 1 gram of carb has 4 calories, 1 gram of fat has 9 calories, and 1 gram of protein has 4 calories. So if you add up in the nutrition label, it should equal to the calories which for the most part it doesn't, but we don't have to pay too much attention to that. It's not that big of a deal. Macronutrients versus the carbs, fats, and protein. Now, if you are under on any of those and you're eating too little of those, then you're going to start to affect your recovery. Fats is mainly important for managing your hormonal balance. And if you are eating under in fat, you will not be able to produce as much testosterone as you naturally would. Carbs are our main energy source, as carbs and water create glycogen, which goes into our muscle stores, which fuels us for training. And protein is the makeup of amino acids that help with recovery in your muscle tissue. After your muscle tissue is broken down, it needs to be repaired, and that is usually through protein. So you have your 3 macronutrients there. The breakdown of that would then be your next priority, making sure that you get an adequate amount of protein, fats, and carbs. The main guidelines for you to follow is protein should be about a gram of protein per pound of body weight, maybe like 0.75 grams of protein to 1.25 grams of protein per pound of body weight. If you're in that range, you're good. Carbs and fats should really just fall into place. I mean, the remainder of your calories can be at a balance between the two. If you go a little bit higher than fat, if you go a little bit higher than carbs, it really doesn't matter that much. You just want to make sure that you're getting an adequate amount of both. And as long as you don't go over your calories too much, you don't have the risk of overeating and gaining weight if you don't want to do that. So all you have to do is just balance out the carbs and fat. As we take this down the chain more and more, we start from calories, we go to macronutrients. Now we're going to micronutrients, which are fiber, vitamins, and minerals, phytonutrients as well. Now we start getting more into how are we affecting our health on a more at a smaller scale, we'll call it. This is where it gets important, right? Because you want to make sure that your gut bacteria is being broken down. You're not carrying around any unwanted inflammation, as that can slow you down. It can slow down your energy levels. This is where it starts to affect more of your health and energy levels, right? Now, if you're focused in on all the micronutrients, but you're not getting enough calories in, well, then you're under recovered anyway. If you're focused on the micronutrients and you're not eating an adequate amount of protein, you're going to start to affect your recovery. If you want to lose weight and you're focused on micronutrients, but then you wind up eating too much food, you're going to wind up gaining weight, which is going to affect your health. So that's why, again, this is the third on the list. Micronutrients can really, a good way to get enough micronutrients in is to have 2 servings of fruit and vegetables every single day. If you do that, as well as be mindful of eating protein, fiber rather, and you, let's say, have 10 grams of fiber per 1,000 calories that you're consuming. So let's say you eat 2,500 calories. As long as you eat like 25 grams of fiber a day, your digestion should be good. Eating those fruits and vegetables are going to help clear out your gut bacteria and will help you stay clean. The next thing on this list now is the time of eating, which is, in my opinion, the least important. If you aren't doing these other 3 things, don't even worry about when you eat. Focus more on getting an adequate amount of energy in from the calories. Then break it down into macronutrients. Then start to get your micronutrients down. Then you can start looking at the time of eating. Now, I will tell you, when it comes to weight loss and weight gain, in particular for health, meaning like, oh, I want to lose 30 pounds, or I want to lose 20 pounds, or I want to achieve a totally different weight class, right? And you're looking to lose weight over time, the time of eating does not matter. You could eat all of your calories at the end of the day. You could spread it up into 6 small meals and it won't matter. Now, where it does matter is if you are somebody who does jiujitsu and you're grappling and you don't want a full stomach, right? Like, for instance, I trained today at 12 o'clock, woke up around 10, and by me having only 2 hours, I'm not going to eat anything before I train. I'm going to stay fasted and make sure that my gut is clear out. If I had more time in the morning, which I sometimes do, I would, let's say, eat something around 8 o'clock. You want to have at least 4 to 6 hours of digestion before you step on the mat. So if you're wrestling or training jiu-jitsu early in the morning, I would advise just going fasted and then eating afterwards. If you're more so in the afternoon, maybe try to get a meal in earlier in the day, in the morning, or don't eat and stay fasted. If you work out in the evening, let's say you're about to train jiu-jitsu at 6 o'clock, I would advise that you do not eat after 2 o'clock. Get your calories in like 1, 2 o'clock. Let yourself digest so that way you're not full. And then that will allow you to train better. That will give you the best performance. Another thing that really makes a standout here is the thought of intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting has been on the rage over the past like 8 years. I remember I started it back when I had 30 pounds to lose. I remember I was 50 pounds overweight. I lost 20 pounds just kind of like dieting and exercising, right? And then I started tracking my calories and I lost the 30 pounds. Once I started getting into a calorie deficit, lost the 30 pounds. I stopped stressing about when I was eating and I did that. But I wasn't doing jiu-jitsu at the time. I was just exercising and trying to lose weight. Now I stick to that 4 to 6 hour rule, 4 to 6 hours before training. Now, if you have a competition and you need to weigh in for that competition, well, then time of eating really matters, right? Because you don't want to eat before if you're going to risk weighing in. You're probably going to, even if you have a later session or a later competition, you're probably going to want to stay fasted anyway. You're probably going to want to eat something after, even if you're competing in, let's say, 2 hours and you just weigh in. I would probably get some sort of like fast digesting carbohydrate in, something like fruit, maybe sushi, rice, and add a little bit of a smaller amount so you don't fill up your stomach too much. You just got to be mindful of that digestion. That's going to be the big thing. I had a couple questions here. Let me just make sure that I get them answered. As far as like what type of meals to eat during the day, I would say follow the law of every meal should have like some sort of protein source, some sort of carb source, and some sort of vegetable. I mean, if you have something like, let's say, ground beef or steak, and you have potatoes and rice or rice, and then you have a bag of salad or broccoli on the side, that covers most of the things that we're talking about here. It covers getting your calories in, it covers getting your macronutrients in, and it covers getting in your micronutrients, right? If you're having like, let's say, chicken, maybe you use olive oil in order to get an adequate amount of fat, or you use something like coconut oil to get an adequate amount of fat. And then you have like a potato or a vegetable. If most of your meals follow that guideline, let's say Friday night rolls around and you want to like drink a few beers, or maybe you just want to get like an ice cream sundae one night. You get some ice cream or whatever, or you have a cheat meal. It's not going to affect you as long as most of your meals kind of follow that breakdown. You know, if you're a vegan and vegetarian, tofu, that's cool too. If you have like, so you want a protein source, some sort of fat, some sort of carb, like a protein or like a potato or rice, and then some sort of vegetable. As long as you eat like 2 meals like that a day, all these things will be covered, and all you got to focus on is just eating enough calories, right? Now, that can take a little bit of a scheduling, that can take a little bit of time and breakdown to really figure out exactly what to do. So let's see, I think I have a couple other questions here. We kind of talked about macronutrients, micronutrients, the pros. When is the latest you should eat? I mean, it really doesn't matter. I eat before bed. I eat like right before bed, and it helps me sleep. So it doesn't matter. Like I said, 4 to 6 hours before training is probably like training like jiu-jitsu. If you're going to lift weights, you don't need to be as dynamic, and you could probably eat like a couple hours before. Intermittent fasting, we talked about. Intermittent fasting is, a lot of people follow like that 8-16 model. I used to be a big fan of intermittent fasting, but now in my later years, I actually eat breakfast. I prefer eating breakfast. So it kind of just depends on what you really want to do. Like if intermittent fasting seems interesting to you, go ahead and try it. Like there's different models. You could fast for 3 days or whatever. I say as an athlete though, if you're going a long time without eating, you're going to be affecting your recovery. So I actually think for athletes, especially for grapplers, that the meals should be a little bit more spread out throughout the day. So that way you don't overload your stomach, because if you overload your stomach, that's going to severely inhibit your ability to perform. And then this last one, the pros and cons of just following the caloric deficit model. So the calorie deficit is really just a general theme, right? If you want to lose weight, you be in a calorie deficit. The problem is that most people, they overdo it and they'll eat like 1,500 calories a day and then they're starving, right? You have to eat a slight amount underneath your calorie deficit, right? And you're going to be a little bit more run down. You're going to be a little bit lower energy. You're not going to be able to train as much, but that's what you got to do in order to lose weight. And you have to stick to that for a longer period of time. So that would, I would say, be the cons to that. Most people will tend to undereat, and then they wind up binge eating and overeating a little bit later. So you got to find that happy spot of where, okay, I'm eating, I'm in a calorie deficit, I'm a little hungry, but I'm not ravenous, and I could go the rest of the night without eating. If you get into that routine and you don't, and then it's like, okay, I'm going to enjoy myself tonight. It's Saturday. There's a few alcoholic beverages, a little bit of food here, but I'm not going to go crazy, and I'm just going to have a little bit of fun, and I'm going to stop when I'm full, you'll be fine. You'll be able to reach your weight loss goal. So I would say that would be pretty much the pros and cons. And the pros is that it works. It's like a scientific study. The law of thermodynamics, that would be, you know, the main thing there, right? Because you can't cheat that. If you're not in a calorie deficit, you won't lose fat, right? It's the law of thermodynamics. You got to use heat as your source of energy here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and stop the sharing screen here. That's my those are some general concepts. If you're more interested in figuring out what's best for your solution, go ahead and just message down below and ask a question, or comment down below your favorite GIF, and I will message you privately, and we'll figure out what the best solution is for you, for your own personal situation. If you want a little bit more of that hands-on help, go ahead and message me privately or comment down below, and I will message you, and we'll figure out what's best for your situation, how we can maximize your performance, get you to your best weight class, and have you feeling more energetic and better to perform, so that way you can feel confident on the mats. Make sure that you guys like the video, comment if you're on YouTube, subscribe, as that all helps the channel grow and helps me get more engagement and encourages me to continue making videos of this caliber. I hope you guys found this information helpful, and I will talk to you guys soon.